My name is Tommy Ferguson. I'm the Executive Director of Capital City Village. We are a local nonprofit that works with older adults living in the community. So we provide a mix of programs and services to help seniors age in place in the homes of their choice. So we really, again, appreciate you giving us some time this afternoon. And we're very privileged to have some students from the UT Nutritional Sciences program to join us for this nutrition series. And I believe this afternoon, the topic is going to be the power of vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids. So I want to just do a couple of housekeeping things. I do appreciate if you will stay muted except for the presenters. And then we are going to record this program, so we will have it available on our website at a later date for those folks who were not able to join us today. So again, thank you all for giving us your time. We're going to let the students give us the presentation, and then we'll hold and do Q&A once they've wrapped that up. So I'm going to turn the screen sharing over to Celine, and then I'm going to put the spotlight on her and let her take it away and run with it. So I'll mute myself and then jump back in, and we can do Q&A after you're done with the presentation. Thank you again. We really do appreciate your time and effort on this. This is just a great series for us to enjoy and get really good information from all of you. So thanks again, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen right now.
Hey guys, thank you once again for joining our presentation. We hope that it will be really fun and informative. So let me just get right into it. The title of our presentation is Micronutrients Macro Effects, the Power of Vitamins, Minerals, and Fatty Acids in Your Diet. And my name is Mohammed.
I'm Celine.
Hi y'all, I'm Mireya.
I'm Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
Hi everyone, my name is Chuang.
Hi, my name is Chloe.
Hi y'all. Okay, so before we get started with our presentation, we wanted to kind of create a safe space where we can ask questions. So the purpose of this pre-presentation survey is just to introduce topics that will later be covered in our presentation. And so let's start with question number 1. Feel free to shout out any answers or type out anything into the chat. So question 1, can you identify one nutrient-dense food in your current diet?
Yogurt?
Oh, that's a great food. Okay, moving on to question 2. Have you heard of any vitamin and mineral deficiencies facing your age cohort?
I think especially for women, isn't calcium and vitamin D particularly important?
Yes, very important for bone density. And number 3, and this is very subjective, just say whatever comes to your mind. What does a healthy diet look like to you?
Well, I'll
Too
jump
many
in.
calories.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Barbara.
For me, it's too many calories.
I guess I would jump in and offer probably lean meats, high in vegetables and fresh fruits.
I agree. For me, I don't really like to classify food as good or bad. I feel like everything is good in moderation. Okay, moving on.
So what is a nutrient-dense food? Like said earlier, someone mentioned calories. A nutrient-dense food is any food that is high in nutrients for its given amount of calories it offers. This could include fruits like this banana, vegetables, whole grains, fish, lean meat that was mentioned earlier, skinless poultry, also known as chicken, peas, beans, and nuts or seeds. Keep in mind that nutrient-dense foods should not have too much saturated fats, sugar, and sodium added to them. I know adding condiments like ketchup or mustard on top of your meals can help you chug down what you're eating, but it's really best to just limit those type of things. Most foods consumed in the most foods consumed in the American diet are typically high in energy but low in nutrients, so they're not really considered nutrient-dense foods. In the next slide, we're going to talk about why we should care about nutrient-dense foods. So number one, you should care about nutrient-dense foods because you are what you eat. Biology and data has shown that your human profile comes from food. All the energy that you expend comes from food, and the structure of your organelles, such as your cells, the structure of your organs, and all that comes from food. The complex pathways to transport things around your body comes from minerals such as food, and even the way you feel can come from food. So for example, you can have an upset stomach, and that can make you sick and impact your mood for the rest of the day. So the other reason why you should care is that eating habits have many short-term and long-term effects. So like mentioned before, food can have many obvious impacts in the short term by making grumpy, tired, angry, or maybe irritable. But foods can also have adverse effects on your physical well-being. If you're not eating healthy, you can begin to develop chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, heart disease, obesity. And recent data has shown that your foods can impact stuff like your microbiota in your gut, which can lead to these adverse effects. Another thing worth mentioning is that if you're not doing a good job taking care of your gut bacteria, you can develop mental health problems such as dementia or depression. Recently, we have found studies on how the microbiota produces up to like 95% of the serotonin in your body. Serotonin is the key neurotransmitter that helps to stabilize your moods and feelings of well-being / happiness. And the third reason why you should care about nutrient-dense foods is that it is really important in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Nutrition is an important component of building a healthy lifestyle, and it's not that easy to maintain. It takes a lot of time, practice, effort, and knowledge. And here we're going to present you with all the right tools you need to maintain that healthy lifestyle that we strive.
To start off our presentation, we will be going over omega-3 fatty acids. So what are omega-3 fatty acids and why are they important? Omega-3 fatty acids are polyunsaturated fatty acids. They include DHA, ALA, and EPA. They are very important components of the retina, which is located in your eye, and brain cell membranes. More specifically, they are important components in the membrane that, in the phospholipids of your membrane that just contribute to like the fluidity of cell membranes. Omega-3 fatty acids also provide energy through the form of kilocalories. And research has shown that people who consume more omega-3 fatty acids have a lower risk of developing Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive dysfunction. Then again, more research needs to be conducted over omega-3 fatty acids. So where can omega-3 fatty acids be located? Some important sources of omega-3 fatty acids include fish and other seafood. This includes cold water fatty fish like tuna, salmon, sardines, and mackerel. Other sources include nuts and seeds, such as chia seeds and walnuts. Another source is plant oils, flaxseed, soybean, and canola oils, for example. And fortified foods such as eggs, yogurt, someone who, it was mentioned earlier in the presentation, cereal, milk, and soy beverages. So adequate intakes for omega-3 fatty acids. Adequate intakes is just a level that is assumed to ensure nutritional adequacy. It is established when evidence is insufficient to develop an RDA. In America, deficiencies of omega-3 fatty acids are rare just because the American diet includes a lot of oils that we covered, such as canola oils. So the adequate intakes for women include 1.1 grams per day, while for men it is 1.6 grams per day. Although rare, deficiencies come in the form of rough, scaly skin. So a question for you all: what are some ways omega-3 fatty acids are already incorporated into your diet? For me, cooking oil in the morning, especially when making my eggs, is an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids.
What about butter? Would that be considered a source as well?
I don't think so, but I can follow up with a quick search on the internet. But I didn't see butter in the sources that I sought out information.
Yeah, just curious. My doctor actually recently prescribed the omega-3 fish oil capsules, like the ones that are pictured there, just as a supplement. So I thought that was interesting that I perhaps was not getting enough through my regular diet.
So grass-fed butter is usually higher in omega-3 fatty acids. So that can be useful.
Good to know.
What about peanut butter?
Yes, I believe peanut butter would be a great source just because it already has nuts and it incorporates oil as well. That's great. That's a great answer.
Moving on, I will be talking about vitamin B6 and vitamin B12, which is another important part of a healthy diet. And so what is vitamin B6 and vitamin B12? They are both water-soluble vitamins that are naturally present in some foods and are also added to fortified foods. Vitamin B6 is naturally found in some foods, but it's still recommended that we supplement it through our diet. And vitamin B12 is an essential vitamin, meaning our bodies can't make it naturally, so we do have to get it from supplements or our diet. Some functions of vitamin B6 they have a variety of functions and are extremely versatile. But for example, it is used to create the protein membrane, help with cognitive development and immune function. As for vitamin B12, it is required for proper red blood cell formation, neurological function, and DNA synthesis.
So like Kaylin just said, vitamin B6 is naturally made by your body, but not enough is made to reach the necessary daily recommended amounts. So some ways you can incorporate vitamin B6 into your diet is there's a lot of different products that contain it. Both plant and animal products contain vitamin B6. Some ways you can incorporate it into your breakfast is through bananas or maybe like oats. And then there's also peanuts that contain vitamin B6. And then a good way to incorporate it into your diet through dinner time is through animal products such as chicken, salmon, or milk. Vitamin B6 supplements can also be taken, and they are called pyridoxine. Deficiency in vitamin B6 can result in some common issues like cracking and sores in the skin, and can also lead to mood-altering effects such as depression and irritability. So make sure to gain an adequate amount and talk to your healthcare provider for the necessary amount that you need or are lacking?
Vitamin B12 is found in many sources and such as animal products like red meat, poultry, and eggs. And like I said before, it can also be obtained through dietary supplements if you don't achieve adequate amounts through your diet. Deficiencies in vitamin B12 can lead to pernicious anemia, which is an autoimmune disease resulting in the destruction of parietal cells and can cause vitamin B12 malabsorption. If left untreated, it can also lead to megaloblastic anemia and neurological disorders like confusion and dementia. And some common signs or symptoms of deficiency are fatigue, weakness, constipation, loss of appetite, and weight loss. And some neurological changes may include numbness and tingling in the hands and feet.
Next, we'll talk about vitamin D, which is an important vitamin that helps absorb various minerals such as calcium and phosphorus. Research has shown that vitamin D can help strengthen your immune system so that you are able to fight off harmful bacteria. Research has also shown that vitamin D may play a role in help regulating your mood, so it reduces the risk of depression. And most importantly, especially for older people, vitamin D aids in the absorption of calcium, which is essential for maintaining healthy bones, which is important for us because as we grow older, we have greater risk of developing diseases such as osteoporosis. Vitamin D also plays a role in strengthening your muscles, which is important also, for when you grow older as the risk of falling also increases. The sources of vitamin D come in three forms. The main source is sunlight, and realistically, it's possible for you to reach your daily recommended amount of vitamin D through sunlight alone. But considering today's world where most people don't spend much time outside, especially as we grow older, you can also find vitamin D in foods such as fatty fish like salmon or fortified milk or fortified cereals. If you are unable to meet your vitamin D intake recommendations, you can also get it through supplements. Risk of vitamin D deficiencies include diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis, colon cancer, and breast cancer. You can also have too much vitamin D, which leads to hypoglycemia, as well as things such as vomiting, nausea, or frequent urination.
So the next micronutrient we will be talking about is calcium, which is also very necessary for life and important for health. The body doesn't produce calcium on its own, so you have to rely on your diet to get the calcium you need. The main foods that are rich in calcium include milk, cheese, and yogurt, but there are many non-dairy sources of calcium, which include fortified drinks such as non-dairy milks and orange juice, leafy greens such as kale, okra, and spinach, fortified foods such as cereal, fish with edible soft bones, including sardines and canned salmon, tofu made with calcium sulfate, and edamame. So the recommended intake for both men and women are 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams a day. It is important to maintain a safe level of calcium as it is needed to maintain strong bones and carry out a lot of body functions. Almost all calcium is stored in the bones and teeth in order to help them be dense and strong. So bones are like calcium reservoirs. So if the body doesn't get enough calcium from your diet, then it'll start taking it away from the bones. And the body also needs calcium for muscle nerves, and for the heart to function properly. It helps muscle moves, it helps circulate the blood, and it also helps release hormones. And it also helps the nerves carry messages between the brain to other parts of the body. And vitamin D is also really important because it's needed to absorb calcium. So the full benefits won't occur unless there's enough vitamin D. So some risk of having too much calcium is that it can weaken the bones, it can create kidney stones, and it can interfere with how your heart and brain works, as well as you can get hypercalcemia. When there's not enough calcium, then it can result in a calcium deficiency called hypocalcemia. Calcium deficiency typically has long-term effects rather than short-term effects. It can also result in cataracts and osteoporosis, and adults are usually at a higher risk for osteoporosis since they have a lower bone mass.
Okay, so moving on to sodium. Sodium, normally we think of it in our diets as something we need to decrease, and that's true, but also sodium does have benefits. So some of the benefits of sodium include controlling blood pressure and blood volume. It allows for our muscles and nerves to work properly, and it also allows us to maintain proper balance of water and minerals. But usually there isn't a problem of having too little sodium in our diet. It's usually a problem of having too much. So a way to incorporate less sodium into your life that we'll cover on the next few slides is shopping low sodium foods, checking your labels, and eating less processed foods. So first, we're going to look at how to shop low sodium foods. So what has high sodium? Foods like table salt, seasonings like soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, garlic salt, or onion salt. Most canned foods, frozen dinners, unless specified that's low sodium. And fast foods, pickled, cured, smoked, or processed meats, ham, bacon, sausage, and cold cuts. Salted snack foods like chips and crackers, canned or dehydrated soups like packaged noodle soup. And then for foods that have low sodium or no sodium, it would be like frozen vegetables, fresh seasonings like garlic, onion, lemon juice, and pepper. Fresh foods like fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, and dairy products like milk, egg, or cheese. And then fresh or dried herbs and spices like basil, bay leaf, curry, ginger, sage, and thyme. And then unsalted popcorn, pretzels, plain tortilla, or unsalted corn chips. And also a final thing that would have low sodium to no sodium would be like dried peas and beans, like black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, lentils, and chickpeas. So we'd want to incorporate more of these low sodium foods instead of the high sodium foods into our diets. So a way to kind of monitor how much sodium is in what we buy at the grocery store, for example, would be to check a label. So when checking a label, some keywords to look at would be low sodium, sodium free, no salt added, sodium reduced, and unsalted. So when you go to the grocery store, you would see about 4 servings per container, like in this example right here. And in the 4 servings, there's 3 cookies. And in the 3 cookies, there's 120 milligrams, which is about 5% of our daily value. So in 3 cookies, there would be about that much sodium. And the recommended sodium intake is less than 2,300 milligrams per day. So why is it so important to incorporate less sodium into our diet? And that's because a lot of sodium does have risks in our body. And those risks are an increased risk of a stroke, a 23% increased risk of stroke with higher salt intake, also heart disease. High sodium can cause hypertension, which is a risk factor for heart disease. And also that leads into high blood pressure. About 1 in 3 Americans develop high blood pressure in their lifetime, and sodium can contribute to that.
So we provided a mini quiz at the end so that we can just reinforce our learning. You guys can answer in the chat or in your head or out loud, whatever you feel comfortable with. So the first question says, a nutrient-dense food is defined as any food that is high in nutrients for its amount of energy or calories it offers. True or false? I'll get
False.
I'll give you a moment to think about it. So yeah, the answer to this question is actually true because a nutrient-dense food is any food that's high in nutrients for a relative amount of calories.
Moving on to the next question. Which of the following food items is a source of omega-3 fatty acids? Is it A, salmon, B, celery, C, tomatoes, or D, pineapple?
Salmon.
Yeah, salmon.
Yes, the correct answer is A, salmon. So remember that cold water fatty fish, such as tuna, salmon, sardines, and mackerel, are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay, so a little refresher on vitamins. Which vitamin helps with red blood cell counts and prevents pernicious anemia? And if you need a hint, there's a picture.
A.
Correct. So a good way to remember that vitamin B12 helps with red blood cells is that your red meats can have a little bit of blood in them and they're still safe to eat. So blood, red blood cells, and then vitamin B12 is found in red meat.
So the next true or false question is calcium deficiency has short-term effects.
False.
Okay, so the answer is false. And typically calcium takes a long time to take effect because it affects the bones and stuff. So it'll take a while longer for everything to come into action.
Okay, and for our final question, what are ways you can decrease your sodium intake? Is it A, shop low sodium foods, B, check labels, C, consume fewer processed foods, or D, all the above?
D. D.
Yes, it is D, all the above. So you can shop low sodium foods, make sure to check your labels, and consuming fewer processed foods will get less sodium into your diet.
So to reiterate what we presented today, we wanted to provide you guys with a recipe that is nutrient dense. It is quick, satious, and nutritious. So the recipe is chickpea pasta with zucchini and mushrooms. I make it all the time during the weekdays, especially after work, because how quick it is. And let's see. So the mushrooms that are a part of this recipe provide a great source of vitamin D. Remember that vitamin D is beneficial to bone health because it helps absorb calcium into the body. The vegetable oil used to saute the vegetables, mushrooms, and zucchini are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. And zucchini provides adequate amounts of potassium, which is necessary for essential muscle and nerve function. And then chickpea pasta, the main ingredient, compared to regular wheat pasta, is higher in dietary fiber, which keeps you fuller throughout the day by slowing digestion. And on the next slide is the recipe with the ingredients and the instructions. There is also a link to Cookum, which is a YouTube channel through the nutritional sciences here at the university. And it is a step-by-step explanation, and it provides a great visual tool. So feel free to check that out. And I really hope that you enjoyed the recipe.
Quick question, actually 2 quick questions. For the chickpea pasta, is that difficult to find that, or do you find that at HEB? And then also, is there any different taste to it than you would have for regular pasta?
So yeah, chickpea pasta is, I've always get it at HEB. It's they're becoming more frequent because I think it was only like available like at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, those type of stores. But I do get it at HEB, and honestly, there isn't a significant taste difference between regular wheat pasta and chickpea pasta. It does have a slight different texture, but again, it's not like a very drastic difference.
Okay, thank you.
We want to thank you all for joining in our presentation. And so this is about the end of our presentation, but we want to ask a few ending survey questions. So feel free to, we have a Google survey link if you just want to answer those questions. So our first question is, what do you believe are the most essential takeaways from this session? And our second question are, what are some things you would change in your diet after listening to this session?
Yeah, I posted a link in the chat.
And then question number 3, on a scale 1 to 5, how would you rate this session overall? Again, you don't have to chat or say your thoughts out loud, but if you're comfortable with it, we really appreciate it. And number 4, what was your favorite part of the information presented? Was it learning about the benefits of all the vitamins and minerals, the food sources, or learning how to decrease your sodium in your diet?
Folks, feel free to just unmute if you want to just call out some of your responses. I think for
I'm
me,
thinking of making a change and need your advice. I'm 79. In my age group, a lot of my friends use Boost to get their vitamins and their protein, etc. I use Premier Protein shakes. What's the advantage of using a more expensive targeted like Ensure or Boost or? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So what was the one that you used?
I use Premier Protein to make sure I get enough protein every day.
I'm pretty sure as long as you're getting the adequate amount of protein, it doesn't really matter which brand you use. As long as the brand that you're using is not like being detrimental to you, like it's providing you extra calories or things that you don't need. So just make sure that you have a good adequate amount of each nutrient that you need. I don't think the brands necessarily matter. If anyone wants to jump in and answer that.
Yeah, so it's important to make sure you're reading the label, see how much exact protein you are taking, and then you can compare it to the one your friends use. Also make sure to look at any added like sugars or, like Mohammed said, the calories, to make sure it's not detrimental.
are
But
there other questions?
yeah, if it's not affordable and you're still getting all the adequate nutrients, then it should just be fine.
Okay, well, Costco has Premier Protein in its shakes. And it has more protein than the Ensure and Boost, but the price is good.
Okay, yeah, then I think that's fine what you have right now. I don't think you're losing out on anything or missing out from Boost.
Price is important. Are there any other questions you want to just go ahead and call out? Or you could type in the chat section if you want to direct those to the students and the presenters.
I have another question. I had never heard before about the mental health and the gut health being tied together. Is
Yeah.
that where people take probiotics?
Yeah, so probiotics is really helpful for that. I actually have, I'm taking it too. So I have a probiotic next to me. So mental health, so when you have a disproportionate amount of bacteria in your gut, it can have effects on your mental health. We call it dysbiosis. So all this research has been coming out in the recent, like past 10, 15 years of how stuff like colonies in your gut can help produce things like serotonin or metabolites that can lead to inflammation in your systems. They can lead to diabetes or obesity or any other chronic disease. So yeah, gut bacteria has a huge impact on your health as well as your mental health.
That's interesting. I had not really heard that tied together. I kind of second Barbara's question on that. That's, yeah, that's pretty good information, new information.
Yeah, like we're still learning about it. Information about this stuff, like research is just brand new. It's like within 5, 10, 15 years. And I'm also doing research on this in my lab at UT. So we're more interested in non-nutritive sweeteners and how they impact Lactobacillus casei. And we're mostly looking at the physical outcomes of how gene is regulated in that bacteria and how that can produce metabolites in your body.
Well, and if you could elaborate a little bit about the lactobiosis, or if I've pronounced that correctly, could you maybe talk a little bit more about the function and the pros and cons there?
Yeah, so that's just a really common bacteria in your gut. If that bacteria is, let's say it's not at the adequate amount, some people can have lower amounts of that. It can impact other colonies in your gut, and that can have adverse effects, stuff like that. Yeah, so people who have depression or certain mental health diseases, they can have certain colonies in their gut that are deficient versus someone who is more healthier.
So in essence, part of treating, say, a mental illness could be, if it's appropriate, could be part of their diet, nutrition, and just general physical wellness as well, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. One other quick question that I have, and other folks feel free to jump in, but I just wanted to ask, for the omega-3 fatty acids, I know that certain fish, the cold water fish, but I did notice that there weren't a lot of shellfish noted on the sources for that. I think maybe just clams. And I just wondered, had you seen anything in your reading or your research that indicated that shellfish were possibly also a good source for that?
That is a good question. I don't think it really jumped into my research, but okay, yes. So it turns out the fat in shellfish is in the form of omega-3 fatty acids, yes.
Okay, great. So somebody that loves shrimp could still get the benefit of that. Fantastic. All right. Any other questions or comments or feedback for the presentation for the presenters? All right. Well, I
This
do.
was very, very informative.
Yeah, I second that. Absolutely. Thank you so much for all the information. I feel like I learned some really great new stuff every time you have one of these. So I do have that link to the survey. And for the folks that are on here today, I'm going to go ahead and send that out afterwards by email, just so that everybody will have easy access to that. So please do look for that in your email, folks, and try to respond. It's a great way to give feedback for the students. And again, thank you so much for doing this today. And I know we've got some other ones coming up very shortly. So please do check the event section on our calendar, and we'll keep you posted on some other programs coming up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining.
Absolutely. It was well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.